In my experience in the 30 years of gaming that I've been involved with, it's easy to miss a game's release. Every once in a while, I'll stumble across an older game and be dismayed that I didn't know of the game's release. This is the case with Valkyrie Profile. A few years ago, I spotted some in-game screenshots and instantly knew I needed to play this game. Then I found out it's damned expensive. It took some time, but I finally got my own copy at the beginning of 2016. Church here, and welcome to the Game Grinder. Today we'll be doing a quick review of Valkyrie Profile. Valkyrie Profile was developed by Tri-Ace, also renowned for the Star Ocean series. This ambitious game was originally released for the PlayStation in August of 2000, and later received a PSP port titled Valkyrie Profile Lenneth in July of 2006. The game opens within a small village. A young girl, Platina, who lives with her cruel parents, discovered they intend to sell her into slavery. Along with her friend Lucien, they run off during the night and find themselves in a field of poisonous flowers. Overcome by the poison, Platina dies in Lucien's arms. We're then introduced to Lenneth Valkyrie in the halls of Valhalla, who's been tasked with recruiting soldiers to aid in the looming cataclysm Ragnarok. Valkyrie Profile is one of the most unique RPGs I've ever played. I assumed going into it was going to be the standard affair, but I couldn't have been more wrong. The first thing that caught my attention was the incredible sprite work the game embraced. At the time, as far as I know, Valkyrie Profile had some of the most well-detailed and animated sprites I had ever seen, and even still to this day, there's not many games that rival it. Where this game really excels, of course, is its gameplay. Instead of a straightforward linear story, Valkyrie Profile presents its events in a series of days leading up to the looming Armageddon. We have so many actions we can perform in the overworld before the day ends, and we report into our superior Freya. Clearing all objectives might not use all turns during each day, so making use of this spare time is crucial to leveling characters. Each day we'll be able to visit newly revealed dungeons or towns after using Lenneth's spiritual concentration. This ability is used to identify the Anherier who we'll seek out to recruit. In most cases, these are people who have been victims of tragic events, and their last chance at redemption, forgiveness, or ascension is proving their worth. This is one of the parts of the game I truly enjoyed. Along with the story, with the end of the world just days away, these individual stories and the people we meet, as I said, are often steeped in tragedy. There's not a lot of hope in sight. This is a very morose and melancholic tale. For those familiar with anime, there's a series that really stood out having parallels with the feeling of the game, Mushishi. Much like Valkyrie Profile, it has a sadness to it, though depressing at times, focuses on the redemption as well. Lenneth will explore the overworld in third person, and when visiting towns or dungeons is another one of its unique aspects. In these places, the game switches to a 2D side-scrolling style, and will make use of platforming to navigate, as well as Lenneth's ice ability to freeze enemies in place so we can avoid them, or create crystals that can be used as footing to overcome certain obstacles. The platforming for the most part works just fine, but there were a few instances of rage-inducing clunkiness that I experienced in my playthrough. The battle system is pretty unique as well. Enemies appear in environments instead of being random battles. Each character we use has limited abilities, with the fighter-based characters having melee attacks, and casters having some spells to make use of. Characters have a gauge that allows them to sometimes perform multiple attacks, which can be comboed together with other characters to output maximum damage, juggling enemies and sometimes stunning them as well. This can be tricky though. For instance, one character that might knock an enemy down, or up into the air, could possibly cause another character to miss because they attack straight on. This is where strategy comes into play, and we'll have to be conscious of how these characters attack with the weapons they are using. Eventually they'll get powerful special attacks known as Purify Weird Soul for that extra oomph in battle. One thing I have to mention is how challenging this game is. There are multiple endings, and the best ending requiring the game to be played on the highest difficulty setting, and at this level it really makes the combat incredibly brutal at times. It's a good thing I usually have multiple save files for each playthrough, as there were a couple times I had to go way back in my saves because my characters weren't properly prepared for some of the sharp spikes in difficulty that happens at a few key points in the playthrough. Also, unless you don't mind getting the worst ending, this is the game that requires a guide to be used. Not only to determine what characters have to be sent off to fight with Odin's forces, but to figure out what skills needed to be leveled to meet the requirements needed. Besides its unique gameplay, Valkyrie Profile has some pretty unique music as well. Many of you have probably heard compositions from Motoi Sakuraba. He's most well known for the Star Ocean and Tales of series, but also the Dark Souls games as well. He's definitely one of the more prolific video game composers, and Valkyrie Profile is no exception. It's a fantastic soundtrack. Even if I don't necessarily love it myself, I did enjoy it quite a bit. So final thoughts on Valkyrie Profile. If you're not a fan of JRPGs, don't like punishing games, need clear and concise information about mechanics, or don't like a medium level of grinding, this game is not for you. For those who want an incredibly unique RPG, challenging gameplay, and don't mind using a strategy guide, this is definitely a game worth checking out.
And then, we stumbled onto this place. Your helmet. Could you take it off?